Hello everyone. Welcome back to my book, Strategic Management Accounting, a critical exploration with a sustainability angle. We are now in Chapter 1, Unit 3, Domains of Strategic Actions. That means different but interrelated sites in which strategies are enabled and enacted differently. So we have three key structural domains: markets, organizational hierarchies, and the points of production or the labor processes. And then there is a fourth dimension, sustainability, which can be considered as an overarching integrative dimension. The market, the first domain of strategic actions, is the domain in which strategic positioning is ultimately enacted and enabled. So it is the competitive terrain. The market is the ultimate competitive terrain in which our positioning has to be enacted and enabled. So, market as a strategic domain, the critical strategic imperative is positioning. So, that's what we are going to achieve. An advantageous strategic positioning in the market so that the company can achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. So that is the first domain, market. So in that particular domain, we enact and enable positioning as a strategy by using various techniques and tools. When it comes to the strategic management accounting, one of the critical theme is strategic pricing. So we will discuss strategic pricing as the most critical management accounting issue that need to be considered strategically to enable and enact strategic positioning in the market. So in that respect, we will discuss why conventional economic models of pricing and conventional accounting models of pricing are not good enough. We will discuss their weaknesses. Then we will also talk about more strategically driven, market driven pricing techniques, such as, for example, market segmentation, targeting and positioning, target costing, and so on. So that's the first domain, market. And then we have organizational hierarchy. As a specific domain of strategic actions, there are three key strategic imperatives that we have to achieve in relation to the organizational hierarchy. First one is strategic performance management. And second one is strategic management control. And third one is organizational resilience. So there are separate chapters in the book to discuss these three key strategic imperatives related to the organizational hierarchy. And organizational hierarchy is a very critical domain because why? The organizational hierarchy is in between the market as the domain in which positioning is enacted and enabled and the point of production. So there are two other domains, point of production and the market. So in between, we have the organizational hierarchy connecting our point of production with the market. So that ultimately, the positioning strategy in the market can be enabled and enacted through strategizing performance management, strategizing management control, and organizational resilience. The third domain of strategic action is the point of production or the labor processes. So that is the sites in which the manufacturing or the production of goods and services takes place. So in relation to that site or the domain of strategic actions, there are three key strategic imperatives that we have to achieve or sustain. That is quality, flexibility, and cost. So in that sense, when it comes to the point of production, we have quality costing and management. That's another topic or a chapter in this book. And then we have manufacturing flexibility. And we also have strategic cost management. So those are the three fundamental strategic imperatives related to the point of production: quality, flexibility, and cost. And then, surrounding these three key domains, the market, organizational hierarchies, and the point of production, in the context of all these three domains, there is sustainability. We have to make sure all our strategic actions, the way we enact and enable strategies in these three domains, address sustainability issues. They incorporate sustainability. For example, when we are positioning strategically in the market, that should incorporate sustainability. So our market decisions should consider how those decisions implicate global sustainability agenda. Similarly, when we are dealing with performance management, control, and organizational resilience, we should consider how those themes, those issues implicate on global sustainability agenda. Similarly, at the point of production, when we think about quality, flexibility, and cost, we should consider how those issues implicate the global sustainability agenda. So sustainability has to build into. We should build sustainability into these key strategic decisions that we make in the market, organizational hierarchies, and at the point of production. Then, when it comes to sustainability, sustainability is all about justice. That is how I interpret sustainability in this book. Sustainability is all about justice. And there are three dimensions of justice when we relate justice into sustainability. The first one is intergenerational justice. So this is the form of justice or dimension of justice that 1987 UN definition of sustainability captures. The original 1987 definition of sustainability by UN, not exactly the same words, but the meaning is that we should be able to meet our needs. That means the current generation of people should be able to meet their needs, but without sacrificing or reducing the capacity of the future generations to do so. That means the current actions, whatever the strategies we are going to implement today, should not do any injustice to the future. So that's what we call intergenerational justice. The justice between current generation and the future generations. We should leave a better world for our future generations. And then the second form of justice is called ecological justice. That is about the natural world, the nature, the solidity of the nature. The nature should be solid. So this particular justice is captured by various accounting measures and concepts such as biodiversity, carbon emissions, and so on. But in a broader sense, it captures nature. So we should not do any injustice to the nature. We should maintain, protect, and sustain the natural order. Because when our economic actions or when our strategic decisions implicate on the nature, that can affect the sustainability or sustenance of the earth. And this ecological justice also contains a very fundamental principle, that is, every creature, not only human beings, has rights to be on this earth. Earth belongs not only to the human, all the other creatures, as well as all the other forces and dynamics. So that is ecological justice. And then the third one, social justice. So this is the dimension where we capture various discriminatory dynamics. For example, gender discrimination, age discrimination, racial discrimination, ethnic discrimination, and so on. So poverty, hunger, and those kind of things. And United Nations Sustainability Development Goals capture them, as well as ecological justices. So the United Nations definition of sustainability captures the intergenerational justice. And United Nations 17 Sustainability Development Goals captures both the ecological justice and social justice in different ways. Some of them are directly related to ecological justice, some of them are directly related to social justice. So that's what we mean by sustainability in a broader sense. And at the same time, when we are talking about sustainability, we have to consider 4 other broader, more fundamental categories or structural dimensions. Because sustainability means how do we manage the tensions between these 4 fundamental structural dimensions or categories. The first one is ecology. Ecology is the nature. That is where we talk about ecological justice. So when it comes to the ecology, there's a higher order principle, a higher order doctrine that we have to protect, that we have to follow. That is, we call solidity of the nature. The nature has a particular solidity, nature has a nature. So we have to maintain it. So the notions such as biodiversity captures it. So the first structural dimension of sustainability is ecology, and the higher order principle or higher order doctrine related to ecology is the solidity of the nature. And then second one is economy. So economy is the domain or the structural domain where we carry out our economic activities. Consumption, production, exchange, savings, and investments. So those are the 5 basic economic activities. So we carry out those basic economic activities in the domain of economy. To carry out these economic activities, we have household, consumers, firms, that means producers, markets, networks, hierarchies, and various other economic institutions, including policy institutions, government institutions, and so on. So when it comes to the economy, there is a higher order principle or higher order doctrine that we are trying to achieve. That is called efficiency. That means when we are carrying out our basic economic activities such as consumption, production, exchange, savings and investment, we have to make sure that we do them as efficient as possible. That efficiency is a broader concept that can be measured in terms of productivity, input-output ratios, profitability, return on investment, and so on. There are different ways of measuring efficiency, but ultimately efficiency is the higher order principle or doctrine related to the domain which we call, or the structural domain which we call economy. Then the third domain related to sustainability is the polity, the political domain. So that is where all political decisions are made. For example, elections are held, governments are chosen, constitutions are drawn, laws are enacted. And those things are happening in the polity or the domain of polity, the government, legislature, executive, and so on. And related to the polity, there is a higher order principle or a doctrine, that is sovereignty. The words such as freedom, development, emancipation, and so on are related to that notion of sovereignty. Sovereignty of the nation, sovereignty of the people, sovereignty of the individual, freedom of the individual, and so on. So that's polity with a higher order principle of sovereignty. Then the fourth structural category related to sustainability is the society, the civil society. That is where we carry out our socio-cultural activities. That's where we live our socio-cultural lives. And in that domain, we have families, communities, religions, races, ethnicities, cultural traditions, public media, mass media, social media, and various other civil society organizations such as charities, NGOs, and so on. So that's the civil society. The civil society also has a particular higher order principle or a doctrine, which is the solidarity. So the ecology has the solidity, and the civil society is concerned about solidarity, the harmonious, peaceful interaction between different sort of people and groups. Okay, so that's society. So these structural categories, 4 structural categories that we have to relate to the notion of sustainability, has 4 different higher order principles. And the critical point is they are contradictory. They are not going together very well. For example, when we are trying to achieve the efficiency, that can negatively impact the solidity of the nature and the sovereignty of the polity and solidarity of the society. And also, when somebody is going to achieve the sovereignty of the polity, that can have a negative impact on the efficiency of the economy, solidity of the nature, and the solidarity of the society. So these are contradictory. There's a tension between these higher order principles. So in that sense, strategizing with sustainability means how do we manage this tension without letting one tension, one form of higher order principle override the others and destroy them or negatively impacting. So that's strategizing with sustainability. So still it is about managing tensions. How do we decide? What are our strategies so that we not only achieve our economic objectives but also other things? Now going back to that earlier three domains of strategic actions: market, organizational hierarchies, and the labor processes. They are all economic. They are inside that economic dimension. For the purpose of understanding, I have taken it out analytically, but these three domains, the market, organizational hierarchy, and point of production, are economic categories. They are operating in the economic dimensions, mostly towards the efficiency. But one thing, when we are thinking about strategizing with sustainability, then whatever the actions we are doing in the market, organizational hierarchy, and the labor process, which are all predominantly driven by the notion of efficiency, now has to consider the other three sustainability structural dynamics: the ecology, the polity, and the society. So this is the overall framework that this book carries forward. The chapters are organized on the basis of this overall framework, the domains of strategic actions. So ultimately, in chapter 1, we had three themes. The first one, strategic turn. Second one, definitions and differentiations. And third one, domains of strategic actions. So in my next discussion, I will move on to chapter 2. So until that, thank you very much for watching this. See you again.